What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Jiu Jitsu Junction podcast. My name is Andre, and I'm here with my buddy Chase. And today we will be discussing why people quit Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah, and a lot quit, right?
Yeah, a lot quit. You start out with 10 people, you end up seeing one or two make it past purple belt at most.
Yeah, I was about to say the statistics are crazy, right? It's
I don't know. I don't actually know all the statistics. I've just kind of anecdotally seen so many people drop out. It's probably like 2%, really. Not.
Yeah, I wish I had my phone because there's some studies, but you Google it. Google the jiu-jitsu study. There's definitely a study that tells you kind of, so it shows a pyramid of how it falls off.
And if you don't want to do a study and you just want to rely on Reddit memes, just think about all of the people who quit at blue belt, and people talk about it on the subreddit.
Yeah. Touche, right?
Yeah, so like it's
weird. You see people quit higher level than that. It's so weird just quitting in general, but it's probably all based out of the same things, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is for sure, and I think that there are things that allow people to make it to upper belts and then still quit, and that's probably different than what's making the white belts quit and the blue belts quit, right? Because you're in different stages of competency. You know, you're focusing on different things. You're probably a different age. You know, that's just population-based stuff, right? So, jiu-jitsu is very complex, and it's quite difficult to do right.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at a really big, complicated, difficult thing, the reasons why you quit can be either complicated, or you could be like everyone else and it's one of the simple things.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of the time it's simple, right?
Yeah.
Overwhelmed and.
Yeah. So something that I have observed is that people quit right after they level up their skill set.
Is that got it?
Oh, God, I don't know. Sometimes
pressure because now you've leveled up.
Oh, there's a lot of different ways it could happen, right? You can have set out, like I know police officers that were like, I'm gonna make it to blue belt, or I'm gonna make it to purple belt. I've been told that's all I need in order to be able to hold down someone who's untrained. Fine, that's probably true, to be honest.
Okay.
Right? So it might be reach this, be done. That's rare.
That makes me think of the funny video of there's some social media bounty cop who goes, and there's this guy, and I think the guy's he takes people down, and he's good at that stuff. And it was a guy who was like, listen, I will tie you up with my legs. And he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he's like, listen, I've already done my research. I know you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu. But it was funny, and he was like, yeah, unless you're fully trained. But obviously that's the 1 in a million.
Yeah.
But it's just funny because I think it still rolls around, the fight between them, because he gives him the hardest time, Yeah. But I could just see him being a trained. He's like, man, I got to that level. And then you run into that guy, and you're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. So like there's a number of things that happen when you level up. And you can think of leveling up as next belt level because that's the easiest way to do it. Yeah. But leveling up really has to do with mindset and skill acquisition. Yeah. And sometimes, depending on what school you're in, that's all you've got. Or if you're a wrestler, that's all you've got is how do I perform, right? Yeah. But luckily, we can just point at belt levels, and it's very easy to see where it is on the pyramid, right? So every time you level up, you kind of expect to be in a certain place that's higher than where you actually are. So that's one reason people quit, because they're like, oh man, I still suck. I don't know if this is for me, guys, right? You see that a lot?
Yeah, and it doesn't change. Nope. And every time you level up, you're like, oh yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
And then you realize how much you're missing because you don't see level 4 or brown belt and understand it as a white belt. To you, there's no difference between a purple and a brown and a black in the way you perform and how you feel afterwards, right? But when you're a purple belt, you understand the brown belt. When you're a blue belt, you understand the purple belt. When you're a white belt, after a certain amount of time, you understand the blue belt.
Yeah.
Because you can only really see the next level up and then all the levels down. And that's how it is for a lot of skills, not just jiu-jitsu, but a lot of skills.
Yeah.
But in jiu-jitsu, we have these nice colors that denote like where we're at in that hierarchy, and you really, you look up one level and you're like, crap, I'm not even close to that, right?
Yeah, and that's probably and I'm, we don't have the height, but we don't follow that structure as much, where we line up but we have our belt levels, and I've actually heard that comment. It's like, man, yeah, but you're telling me that I just got better, man. I've gotten so much better, and
get smashed.
That guy's only one. Like he's only a belt above me. I'm like, yeah, but he could be. So obviously, in our structure, it's the hardest conversation to have with anybody. But when it's a little clearer, it's probably easier to even make the excuse, because you can be like, well, I mean, that guy right above me, I'm nowhere near as good as him. Mm-hmm. That's scary to know you're that far off.
Yeah.
In a hobby too, I could imagine if you're just in it for a hobby, you'd be like, right? That's tough, right? Like, holy cow! You mean, wait a minute, if I miss mat time, people get better? Holy cow!
Oh yeah. When I came back from my 4 month layoff of
because the
hurting
boat
my rib.
kept going.
Oh,
down
my
the river.
goodness, yeah. It was tough. I walked in, and these people that I was consistently beating, granted I was also hurt, but they became technically very close to where I was.
Makes sense.
And good on them. I'm happy that's good. But it can be disheartening if you don't have that, that mindset about it.
Well, just know, the comforting part of that is know that you're connected to the nucleus, right? Like, you're connected to the boat moving down the river.
Yeah.
You might not be sitting on the main raft, but you're still connected to it, and that's
you're on the dinghy being towed behind.
Being towed behind, yeah. But that tow rope gets shorter.
You just pull yourself down.
And you're still on it. It just takes a little, and you probably relate exactly to it. How long it take you to get back on the boat?
Just a few months.
Boom. Now you're back on the boat. So. But that few months is the hard part, right? Where you're like, holy cow, man, I was better.
That's where people quit.
I've seen people quit after vacation, after a long vacation. And usually majority of people, it takes them about a week to prep for a vacation.
Yeah.
And when they come back from a vacation, they need about a week to kind of recover from the vacation. If it's a hobby, they're not going to get back to their normal life so that might be 3 weeks they miss. And I've watched people break routine. I think that's one of a big one, breaking routine.
Yeah, breaking routine is a very big part of why people drop all kinds of positive habits, right?
Yep.
That's why when people have a binge eat, they're just like, well, screw it. I'm going to give up on this diet thing, right? So we have the jiu-jitsu equivalent, because jiu-jitsu is very fun to do while you're doing it, but it's not always fun to return. And it's very easy to make excuses, right? But yeah, so back to the seeing the next level thing, it's just very frustrating and can overwhelm people to see the sometimes gaping chasm between them and who they want to be for the next step, right? So we've got overwhelm, we've got frustration.
Evel Knievel.
You're going to have to go further than that. I know who Evel Knievel is.
Yeah, he's known for jumping over gaping.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
I'm telling you.
Right.
I love that. Kids obviously won't know Evel Knievel, but I would love to be able to. I will relate that from this point on. That's what I thought about when you said gaping chasm. I'm thinking of the Grand Canyon and Evel Knievel with an American flag flying off his motorcycle, flying through the air.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, so we run into this first major seeing the next level and getting discouraged thing around blue belt. That's why we have blue belt blues and people drop off there, right? So there's the leveling up component, and then getting overwhelmed or frustrated because there's so much further to go, and every time you level up, there's a chance that you drop off because of that overwhelm, right? And
man, listen, we need to get a hold. Like if we're getting started and we kind of run into that, like we got to kind of nip that in the bud early, because jiu-jitsu's obviously and I say beautiful a lot. Like I love it. I love jiu-jitsu. I love the idea of jiu-jitsu. But the reason why jiu-jitsu is beautiful is because there are a lot of gaping.
Yeah, there's so much room to make progress, and making progress feels awesome.
Yeah, so we've got to understand that in order to make progress, the process is going to be hard. Like it's just going to. We got to kind of nip that in the bud and make sure that this is the hobby you're in. Like, hey, I understand a few things. And if you don't want to agree to those things, you might want to drop out. Go ahead and get out now. Because don't invest time and then have to bump into that and say you're not invested to get through that little hump, because those aren't good. It's a bad spot. It sucks to kind of stop when, man, you just started, you got better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're at the end of the closing section of this podcast. We'll go through some of the things you could do to make it less likely that you're going to quit, right? There's some stuff you could do. So I think that the other reason we have a lot of people drop out of jiu-jitsu is that the journey to black belt, which is people consider to be the end point, the goal, right? And that's definitely that's a goal that's probably midway through jiu-jitsu if you're doing it for life. And it's 10 years. That's a long friggin' time. That can encompass multiple life stages. And every time you reconfigure your life stages, your priorities will change. And people have a lot of trouble thinking long term because we have a society that's very based on hitting things up for quick success. And jiu-jitsu is not a quick success.
Yeah.
And that also plays into why people give up when they level up. Right, so people are used to quick successes and building like competency right away, and that just doesn't happen. Not in jiu-jitsu, right? So that kind of level of commitment is a little rare, and I think that it's easier to make that kind of commitment if we do some of these shifts that we're going to talk about here, where we'll go over what we can do to make our jiu-jitsu training stick and not end up quitting. So the first thing we do is we alter our goal setting, and we did a whole podcast on goal setting. So if you want to check that out, we're only going to cover it surface level here. But goal setting will make it so that you're not focused on the big difference between where you are now and where you want to be. Like, if you're only focused on making it from white to blue or blue to purple, then you're going to have this huge list of things that you need to learn, and you have to get really good at a bunch of things in order to level up again.
And that's the idea with the stripes, right? Like is to kind of give you small goals within.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the stripe. It gives people like an idea of how they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And the place I trained at before only did it for the white belt.
Okay.
And then I actually like that because
it gives you small too.
It gives you something, and you need something when you're walking in and everyone's trouncing you. You have no idea what you're doing. Shrimping is hard. You've never done a bridge before. Like, good Lord, you need some wins.
Wait, you can do all the movements here.
You need some wins.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah,
I got it. Wins. Yep, understood completely.
But yeah, but you could take control of your own goal setting in order to make sure that you stick around. And like the way it's looking for me now is that my goal setting is not performance based because, good Lord, we have a lot of physical specimens. So in our gym, man, there are a lot of heavyweights, right? Including this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's even wearing the tank top to make me look small.
Yeah, because I had to go trade with all these guys you were speaking of.
And I'm going to go on vacation. Hopefully I'll return, right?
I wouldn't. Fuck. The way, I'd go around with,
But
tough day.
Yeah. But so the goal setting thing, like for me, I'll be like, I'm going to play with this style of guard. I'm boring him, apparently.
Sorry. I need more oxygen in my brain. I wish it was you boring me.
So like, I'll be like, I'm going to train this guard. I'm going to go for 1 or 2 techniques off of this guard, and I'm just going to work towards getting to that guard as much as possible.
Yep. That's it. I think that's your goal setting, and
Yeah.
I love
You
that.
need to give yourself the dopamine hits.
Yep.
It's going to make it much easier. And
That's why I do it. Oh, I definitely do it. I love it. Like, all right, today I'm gonna hit this.
Yeah, dopamine hit, and like when you get these positive reinforcing signals like that, then you want to keep going, right? So you give yourself the opportunity to win, and not win in the role. It's just a training role, but to win in creating progress for yourself, right? So set expectations and goals that are appropriate for exactly where you're at, and minor steps. So you could also like change your grappling style versus certain people. Like
sure.
you work your B game, C game, D game based on who you're with.
That's one of my favorite things to do. And man, I'm gonna have to make a list of like coach's favorite things, because like I love these conversations. I realize so much about the way I train, and through these conversations, I do a lot of things that's why I enjoy jiu-jitsu so much. It's like I can roll every style that you want to roll, and that's because I played and I've worked on them, and say, okay, I'm gonna be a traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu from my back, self-defense, closed guard, and I can play that with you. So I really enjoy that over the time. I've really been able to create. There was a period where my instructor Jeff just wanted me to do jiu-jitsu with my feet. And that explains why I can do some of the things I can do now. So I really,
Yeah. So making micro goals and giving yourself the chance to hit different steps and win certain goals, and the other major thing, other than like setting the right goals, making sure that you're feeling your progress, is to let jiu-jitsu ebb and flow without dropping it.
Yeah.
Like jiu-jitsu's 10 years to get to a black belt. And if you're thinking longer term than that, like, oh, this is just going to be something I do forever, then ebbing and flowing is just going to be part of what you do. You don't have a choice with that.
I had a adult maybe 3 weeks ago. We were kind of chatting back and forth, and he was like, hey, man, he was like, how am I doing? Am I getting better? And I was like, do you want me to give you an honest answer? He was like, yeah. And I said, ask me again in about 3 weeks. Kind of looked at me, and I was like, well, if you want me to give you an honest answer, I need to see like over a period of time. Like, I can't judge you on today. Like, yeah, you done good today, or yeah, you done bad today, or but I need to, like, if you want an honest answer, I need to see it over like at least a 3 week period, and I would probably say 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So like, if you want to, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to set you little goals and kind of like progress report, I would probably say 6 weeks. And I used to do that. I used to I would say, okay, I wasn't allowed to assess how I did. I could reflect. I could, review notes, all of the above, but I wasn't allowed to have an emotional feeling about how I done until like at a 6 week mark. And I'd be okay. And then I would think, okay, I look at all my notes over that 6 weeks. How did I do? And that's always a lot different than, man, I had a rough week, and I've looked and seen how I felt this week, and, man, every day was awful.
Man, if you pick a random open mat, I could tell you, wow, I really suck, or, man, I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
So one instance isn't enough.
Yeah.
And like, I like that you framed it that way, because with something that's over such a long time horizon and with so many factors that can throw you off your performance,
yeah,
you sleep wrong, you're screwed. You don't eat right, you're screwed.
and we're talking, mostly the hobbyists, right? People that are trying this, that are trying to make this something they do. Like, man, and coming from an athlete that I eat, everything that I put in my body is focused towards performance. The only thing I do outside of performance is a little bit of caffeine before we do a podcast in the morning, or I wouldn't take caffeine until I was getting ready to train. So everything I do is for performance.
Yeah.
So I can, and it's tremendously effective. So I can imagine, you just worked a long day, your brain's already mentally fatigued, you might have missed lunch, and you just ate some quick snacks, and you probably ate the wrong quick snacks on the way into practice. Like, it could, it just.
Yeah. So like, especially when you're a little bit more casual, I guess, weekend warrior, right? You need to average your.
I love my weekend warriors too. I just want to say, I want to make sure that's pretty clear. I love my casuals. I love.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the mad enforcer in the room. It's like, hey, these guys, they're not part of the fight team. They're not fighting in here. We're doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I love. Yeah.
But yeah, so like, make sure that you're okay with it ebbing and flowing. Because one session a week is not a waste of time.
No.
You can make progress on one session a week. It's definitely going to stop you from just going backwards. You're not going to go backwards on one session a week. And taking breaks here and there and being intentional about returning is enough to keep you from quitting.
Yeah.
Right? And just accept that there are going to be periods of time that you'll take off for injuries, for, you have a new baby, right? You got a new promotion. Your schedule changed because you switched
jobs. When you come back,
jobs.
it'll be tough.
And when you come back, it'll be tough. But then we go to our micro goals again, right? So like, it's all about understanding where the place jiu-jitsu has in your life is and letting it change. But don't let it go, right? So anyway, do you have any closing remarks?
No, that's it right there. It's jiu-jitsu is an anchor, like that. But it'd be the place that never changes. I just kind of use it as an anchor. The martial arts in general, and even me as a mixed martial artist, I believe that most of my kind of philosophies and the way I operate comes from jiu-jitsu. I take a lot of that everywhere, across other arts, the way I fight. So definitely, jiu-jitsu for me is the anchor. Once I kind of said, I'm going to use this as a tool for the rest of my life, I do it all the time. Even my body hurts. Even when my body hurts, I do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I just kind of set it as an anchor, no emotion attached. So I know that good things come from it. I know that I'm learning. I know that I'm developing. It's a combat sport. Religions talk about, the wrestling, like it's in religions, because that brings out a different thing inside of your brain, inside of your heart. Like, so I really love that aspect of it. So I've kind of changed the whole outlook, and I'll do jiu-jitsu until I die.
Yeah.
There's a 80-something. I talk about her, jiu-jitsu grandma. I love her. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's
I
awesome.
want to limp across.
I promise I'll meet her one time. Yeah, I'm going to. I love her videos. But I'm gonna people up at 80. People were like, "It's a little old man." Well,
I don't know if you can ever be little, Chase.
definitely be more rickety. Rickety. Right. That'd be the way to describe it.
Rickety. Yep. Anyway, we really appreciate you guys watching. And if you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Share it if you want to. Leave a comment below. We love to hear from you. We always read the comments, and we will see you in the next video.